Yeah.
And that was microbiology.
Yes, microbiology. I started with microbiology and biochemistry, and then I kind of went over to physiology. That's more on the human side of things. The cardiovascular system, neurology, stuff like that.
Okay.
Didn't really end up using that. I ended up using the microbiology. So the kind of the microbes thing, the impact on the environment, stuff like that.
Yeah. Because we are chatting today with Johan from Silkbush Winery. How is
farm?
Wine farm?
Yeah, we're a winery. We don't have a winery physically on the farm. So we started doing only selling grapes to KWV and then a lot of other Stellenbosch sellers. And in 2010, we started with the label. We did another label, Lion's Drift, but we exported that mainly to America.
Okay.
Yeah, it had the lion on and the mountain at the background. And then after that, we did the Silkbush range.
Okay. So your farm is in Worcester. Is that even the correct way to pronounce it?
Yeah, well...
Being so English, I never know how to...
It's between... well, it's the correct way. And it's between Worcester and Ceres.
Okay.
So it's kind of in the middle. But when people ask, if you say Worcester, they know they kind of know where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of farms out there. Stunning. I mean, driving kind of through Ceres last weekend, going to the Karoo, and then when I went to Tulbagh.
Yeah, no, so Tulbagh is more the well-known wineries you can go to, and you can do a tasting, and a lot of them are actually wedding venues as well. And then to Slanghoek side, there's also a few wineries that you kind of can go into, do the tasting, and then it can take you through the winery or something like that. But
So let's go back to the start of it all. How long has it been with your family? Did you buy a fully functioning farm, or how did your family get into it?
So my dad was a consultant for the KWV, and at that point it was in, I think, 1999, and he would go out to a farm and he would consult, and if there was something that needed to be done to the vineyard, maybe pruning the vineyard differently or planting another varietal, depending on the soil that they have there, he would consult with the farmer, and then they did another buy for a farm next door.
Sorry, you can continue. I'm just turning the aircon down a bit.
Okay, and did a buy for another farm next door for a few investors from America. And last minute, when the buy had to go through, the guy decided he's going to buy a villa in Spain or something else. And then a year went by, and then Silkbush came into market, and my dad contacted Dave. So he's our main investor from California, and he got a few other investors together, and then they bought the farm. So and then there wasn't really much vineyard. Actually, there was more stone fruit and a little bit of corn. No, not corn, wheat. And wheat on the farm as well. So every block on the farm, my dad, planted through the years, pulled out something else and planted vineyard. And now last year we started diversifying into apples. We're doing a little bit of apples as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And location, obviously, because you mentioned, there wasn't a lot of wine growing there and grapes. Were you then obviously aware of the possibility and how fruitful it can be to grow there?
Yes. So that was the main reason they bought that farm. It was a much better buy than the previous one. So the altitude, firstly, very high altitude, and then very mineral-rich soil. So we get all of our water straight from the mountain.
By very high altitude, because people in Joburg, obviously, we go at 6. So then you'd be like 500-600, or would you be? What's high altitude? It's Western Cape.
I think like Sutherland and the Cederberg, they're at about 1,000. And then our highest vineyards is 730 meters above sea level. So that's pretty high in contrast to the rest of the vineyards in the Western Cape. And that allows for a lot slower ripening. So we're about 2 weeks behind the rest of the valley. And our grapes ripen a little bit slower, but that allows for the sugar to accumulate over time. And then by the time and the alcohol as well. So then, it's not if it's too warm, your sugar goes through the roof, and then you've got very high alcohol on the wines, and then you kind of lose the fruitiness and the softness of the wine. So with those things, it kind of accumulates together, and then by the time we're ready for harvest, the tannins in the grapes have also come down a lot, so you don't get that dry mouth feeling that you like a Cabernet. Cabernet is a little bit more tannin heavy than a Pinotage or something else. So yeah, very easy drinking wines, very juicy, bold flavors, and so the altitude gives you that, and then mineral rich soil, and we also get all of the water from the mountain, so we only irrigate as a supplement for the vineyards. Yeah,
and obviously it's the summer season where they ripen the best, and then obviously you mentioned a few weeks after, which is beneficial. So that's the time of year, pretty much. Summer going into spring. So summer going into autumn. So we normally finish harvest. This year we finished a bit earlier, but harvest tends to go into April, and then most of the people around us are done already. Yeah.
So then we normally do our like Cabernet or Pinotage. That takes a little bit longer because the Pinotage is the highest vineyards, top of the farm. Also the baboons is favorite to go into, but yeah. So the summers aren't that hot. Further down in the valley, it's warmer. But because the vineyards are so high up, and we've got northwestern winds cooling the vineyards a little bit as well. So all those factors kind of blend in.
Is it a common thing? Is it depending on altitude and obviously rain and all of that, where autumn would be the best time, or is it some vineyards are earlier in summer?
No, so most are earlier. The warmer it gets, the quicker the grapes ripen. But we only go into autumn because the vineyards are so high, and they ripen slower. I think the once or twice we finished like middle April, but it's normally end of March, and then we're done.
So then, is there prep that is done like in the colder months of the year to prepare the soil or to prepare the vineyard? Or
so soil, not so much, but the vineyard itself, you do a lot of pruning and cut back vines to ensure that it's not for Grenache, for example, and Pinot Noir are grapes that are very tightly knit grape varietal, so they grow in very tightly knit bunches. So pruning the vines ensures that your yield you get a higher yield, but it's not too tightly knit as well, because the more grapes are on the vines, the less concentrated the flavors are going to be. So pruning the vines ensures that you've got a big enough yield, but it's not too much, because at the end of the day, if you've got it too much on the vines, you're going to throw it off.
Okay.
So like Grenache, for example, we throw off 60% of the harvest, and during variation. So then you ensure that the grapes are on that are on the vines, they get enough flavor concentration and ripeness and sugar levels and everything. But if you leave too much on, it kind of gets diluted, and your wine doesn't have that much fruit at the end of the day. Yeah.
And knowing nothing about wines, I wouldn't even know how many variations of grapes are in particular wines. You obviously grow several different types.
Yes, so we've got 14 cultivars on the farm, and that allows us to. We've got 2 blends, and the one we kind of change up every now and then. Try to get something different into the market, and we can plant it because of the soil. We can have a lot of varietals and try to see, okay, this varietal works better on this side of the farm or something like that. So we can move that around as well. So we can supply to a lot more sellers having the different cultivars. The Pinot Noir and Grenache is not very common for us in our valley. I think we might be some of the only ones who have Pinot Noir on the farm, and very niche grape varietal. Grenache and Pinot Noir has been picking up over the last year that I've seen. And Grenache, it's very light. So it's kind of like a Cinsault. So you cool it down like a white wine, chill it in the fridge, and it's not very heavy. So a Cabernet drinker is not going to drink Grenache. It's way too light, yeah.
And let's just talk about the correct way to drink wine. Obviously, you are all reds, or do you have whites?
So we've got a few whites as well. And we've got Sauvignon Blanc, and then we've got Semillon, and we've got Viognier. We do those. We do Semillon we sell, and you don't really get a cellar that does a 100% Semillon. That's usually blended in with a Viognier or a Chenin or something like that. And but a Semillon on its own is also a very good wine. It's a very rich wine. It's kind of like a Chardonnay, not as heavy, but you don't normally get that on its own. And then, there's a lot of other stuff that, every now and then I hear of something that I've never heard of. If for a wine show or something, I go and taste someone else's wine, I'll see a wine and I've never heard of it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And now you're on a date. You've got a bottle of one of your reds. What is the correct way? You take the cork off, you let it breathe. Like, what in your experience? What's the best way to, really get those correct tastes? And
well, atmosphere. You don't want to sit in a stuffy room, because that's going to influence the wine's nose, what you smell on the wine. And you also, ice is not wrong, put it in the wine. But if you really want to enjoy the wine, you should rather chill it in the fridge. And putting ice in kind of dilutes it. So if you leave it in there the whole time, it's going to dilute it and you're going to lose the flavor of the wine. And red wine, you can chill it a little bit. I like to chill like a Pinotage or something like that a little bit, and then take it out and leave it for half an hour. Then it's also nice to drink.
Leave
like that.
It for half an hour exposed.
Yes, yeah. You open it, let it breathe, and then it kind of warms up a little bit. But you don't want to chill it like a white wine as well. And then Grenache, Pinot Noir is Cinsault, lighter wines. You chill that, but you also take that out for half an hour beforehand and let it breathe. Older wines, you want to decant that, because it gets a little bit not stuffy, but that wine needs to breathe a little bit. Older red wine.
How old is an older red wine?
Like I'll take like a 2010. I'll decant that and let it breathe for an hour or so. And depending also on the varietal as well, I think like a Cabernet, you're gonna let that breathe if that's older wine. Like we've got 2009, 2008 Pinotage bottles that you're gonna let let that breathe.
Yeah.
So it's some of them kind of tend to get oxidized as well. So if you let it breathe, that kind of helps it.
And your price point, were you in the business at that point when like those kind of discussions were in? Because obviously, how have you positioned yourself with it? Because it's such a big market in South Africa. So how have you guys positioned yourself?
Price point wise, we don't want to be. We do see ourselves kind of as boutique. We don't target Pick and Pay and Woolies. We don't want to be everywhere. We want to be a special brand that it's a special bottle of wine that you open, and so the price point we're kind of in the middle at this point, as the year goes by, I kind of see, okay, this one we can kind of maybe increase the price a little bit more, or this one we need to bring down a little bit. And that also depends on the market as well, because Sauvignon Blanc for one year that'll do great and Chenin won't sell at all. And then next year Chenin's going to do better and Sauvignon Blanc's not going to sell.
What do you think what components go into that kind of thing where it's like 1 year good, 1 year not as well?
I think, there's a lot of people have told me they're not going to drink Sauvignon Blanc because it's too acidic. And that's kind of the trend that got into wines at one stage. It's very acidic wines. So they stopped drinking that. They started drinking Chenin, because Chenin's got a little more fruit to it. And then Chenin got wooded for them. Chenin got too wooded. And they stopped drinking that. They started drinking Sauvignon Blanc again. So I think it goes more through what the styles that are made each year. And then, people's preference. If they like a certain wine and you make it different, they're going to stop drinking it. Yeah.
With your microbiology background, how has that been able to come into play at all?
No, not right. No. I did the microbiology that I did was more actually human focused as well. The DNA replication things that go wrong in a cell, the kind of cascade effects that it has on the rest of your body. And then I did a little bit of soil in my last year, and when I got I worked for an agricultural company, so I did soil analysis, and you kind of determine what the microbes in the ground already have, and then the farmer doesn't need to overfeed the soil. Put too much nitrogen in, and too much carbon dioxide or anything like that they add into the soil to improve the microbes, because the microbes kind of do the same for the soil as well. The healthier the microbial life is, the better the soil is, and the better yield you're going to be, the healthier your vineyards are going to be. So then we kind of made recommendations on that, and then the yields like tripled or doubled. So they started doing that on citrus, and after that they started kind of diversifying into avos and blueberries and walnuts, stuff like that. But the original thing was citrus.
So now you mentioned you're also going and doing a bit of apples. How is it similar soil types that they kind of enjoy growing?
No, I think they do need a little bit of different soil. So we kind of took some of the vineyards, all the vineyards, we took them out, and the vineyards that we thought would be the soil that would be better for the apples. I do think they need kind of a little bit of a different soil, but yeah, it's still very mineral rich soil all in all. We just took out the vineyards that some of them had virus, the older vineyards, and took that out, and then we planted the apples.
So now, if you had to, replant, because let's say there was something wrong with the older vineyards, how long from a little seedling or whatever does it take to then yield some grapes?
No, grapes, you buy you got to buy the vines.
Okay.
It's and then you plant it in the ground, and then it's about a year or so that the first yield might come, but you throw that off. You don't harvest that, and then I think the next year get a bigger yield. You don't try and take down the first yield. You throw that off.
Okay.
It's not much.
Yeah.
No.
And within the industry, is there like, a tight-knit secret on like the best things to do with soil, or are people relatively generous, like at wine shows, where obviously a company that might be selling certain things to enrich your soil might be educating people?
Yeah.
But is it something where like people are keeping like these secrets?
No, I think some of them kind of do, but after a while, you kind of meet everyone over and over and over. They're the same people at the same wine festivals or whatever, and you kind of start talking to them, and you kind of help each other out at the end of the day. But I think some of the stuff they do keep secret to themselves, the way they do stuff. But like farmers that we also sell wine to, my dad and they might discuss something different that they might try or might do. Yeah.
And you mentioned not being in like Woolworths and stuff. So then, is it sold directly from you guys on your website, or where can people get the wine?
Yes. So we have an online store, and then other than that, we do. I mostly do like boutique wine shops, and then I do a few restaurants, places like that. But I like to do a little bit more like a special place. So a farm stall somewhere in Oudtshoorn or a place like that that has more foot traffic, and it's not always your serious wine buyers, but it kind of gets the brand out into the open. More people see it, more people get to know it. Yeah. The thing with like Checkers and Woolies is you kind of have to give big discounts, and the other thing is you need the supply. So because we only do like 20,000 bottles in total of all the wines a year at most, because we try to move that within a year or two. But if you have the bulk for Checkers and Woolies that they take like a pallet a month, that's a lot of wine. So, yeah.
And with the apples, what are you guys planning on doing there?
We're going to export that.
Okay.
Exports, yeah.
And that, is there a particular country, or is it in general exporting? Like, is there a country that is really like they got a high demand for quality apples?
I think the big thing depends on the type of apple that you have. There's a market for bigger apples, smaller apples, and then sweeter, a little bit sour. And then, you've got a green apple, and you've got, I think the Granny Smith, is that
So
red with
what
a
are
little
you
yellow?
guys doing? You're obviously doing like a few varieties.
We've got big bucks, and then I'm not sure what the other one is.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can cut that out.
No.
That's fine.
No, that's totally my brother's thing.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
He's doing the apples.
So then within the business, what's your, primary role?
So I started doing taking over the wine sales about 2 years ago, and main thing is getting new clients, getting new listings, getting the wine listed in new stores, organizing all the wine festivals, getting us into the festivals, and then also going to do the festivals. So depending on the size of the festival, it normally my brother goes with me, or otherwise it's my mom or my dad. They will always come and help. And then the logistics, I need to ensure that all the warehouses are stocked, and I need to keep stock of their stock, make sure there's not wine going missing or orders goes out and delivered on time, all that. Yeah. And then the exports, do the exports as well, and all the wine certification. Once the wines are labeled, you need to send it in for approval, and after bottling as well, and all that admin, do that as well.
Can you imagine there being quite a process to legally be able to be selling alcohol and have your own, farm? And I assume that was obviously a lengthy process.
Yeah, so the liquor license is a thing as well, getting that renewed. And, there's licensing to actually export from your farm to a shop. To ship it to them, you need something else for that, and then you need something for exports. So, it's not just do it. Then for exports, you need Vita, and then I think for apples, it's Caesar. So that's like an audit that they come and do on the farm to ensure your workers are, in livable environments, and they've got a bathroom somewhere on the farm, and the equipment that you're using is like safely secured, and there's signage everywhere for that. So they come and do that, and then they talk to the workers. The workers need to be happy. You audit it on that as well, and according to that, you get into export or you don't. So China specifically, you need like a Vita, and a certain grade as well. So a lot of the countries aren't as bothered by that, and but others you need it. Otherwise, you're not going to get into the export.
Being, and handling a lot of logistics and the marketing and the trying to, get the wine out there, and obviously being exposed to the daily, farming of it all. What would you say from your personal experience, and maybe what you've seen as the business, is like been the biggest challenges? Is it the farming process, or is it the getting your wine out there?
Well, getting the wine out there. It's getting to a store, and because we are boutique, we're a small winery, but we're a big farm, so we can do a lot more with the grapes that we have. But going somewhere and then someone not knowing who you are, and then trying to sell the pitch, that kind of gets hard sometimes, because people are, if they don't know you, they're kind of not interested. So that's, I think, the hardest part, getting it out there. And but we've grown a lot. Since I started, we've grown a lot. So
it's because of you.
Well, not entirely, but I would think so, because before I got there, so my brother got there a year or two before me, and at that stage, my dad was the farmer, he was the marketer, he was the plumber, he was social worker, he did everything. So, and the marketing thing is a full-time job. You can't be on the farm and then be on the road 3 times a week to do that, and fly up to Joburg or fly up to KZN and be on the farm to ensure everything goes well on the farm. So when I took over, that kind of got a lot more attention, and with my brother on the farm as well, my dad can do both in between. Yeah, so it's a well-oiled machine at the moment.
Yeah, and I think my dad and my brother work together, and seeing their dynamic, I think when it comes to working with family, I think even working with someone that isn't part of your family and their co-workers, but it's difficult with certain things, and there's benefits for other reasons.
Yes.
But I think, what has been the biggest lesson that you've learned in terms of like working with family?
Well, when it's work, and when you're done, it's family. So you have to try and distinguish that, because if I did something wrong or I slipped up somewhere, then
You slipped up as an employee.
I slipped up as an employee.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's done. So after hours, we can have a braai and have a glass of wine. But if I slipped up, I slipped up. And then it's me as an employee.
Yeah, so I think it takes quite a bit of compartmentalization, because it's, at the braai, maybe 4 hours earlier, you made a mistake, or someone made a mistake, and there was some sort of, not conflict, but there was some sort of, rectifying that needed to happen. And then afterwards, at the braai, it's sometimes might be difficult to then not bring up the issue or not talk about it.
It normally does, but it gets brought up in a more lighthearted manner.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that I think we do very well, kind of distinguish between those two, and it works.
And I think also as a family, you've all got as much vested interest in it, as opposed to, if it's just, random people from around the block that have come together and working for the business.
Yeah.
So I think being so invested, because it's your family business, also, adds to the interest and the level of detail that you guys apply.
Yes. So, that's like I said, if we have to go do a wine festival, one of them is coming with me. And, sometimes when it's like a 3-day thing, we all go. So, yeah, it's a nice dynamic to have. And then all of us kind of working together.
Yeah. With, wine pairing with food and everything, are there, because I have no clue, like particular blends that work better with particular meats? Obviously, I know people, don't put red wine with fish or whatever, but like, are there particular blends that you guys have where you're like, okay, no, that's really good with kudu steak or?
Yes. So, Pinotage and Shiraz, something like a Malbec, a bit of a heavier. You kind of pair with a gamey food, and then Sauvignon Blanc, Viognier, you tend to pair with like fish or chicken or like a salad, and then like Pinot Noir, Grenache goes with pizza, sushi, and Pinot Noir with duck, chicken, something like that. The heavier the wine goes, the kind of the heavier or the more spicy you want the food to be as well. But the food also has quite the impact on wine as well. If you eat something sweet, the wine becomes more bitter, more dry, and a bit more acidic, and then you lose fruitiness on the wine. You don't get that fruit flavors. And if you do something like with unami as well, unami is like biltong, droëwors, that has the same effect. But something salty or acidic makes the wine more sweeter, more fuller, and a little bit less acidic.
Okay.
So yeah, less bitter. So that kind of comes in as well when you pair certain food with wine.
Because you guys do offer wine tasting as well.
Yes, we do. So I started doing it in the beginning of the year, and we don't have a tasting room. So at this point, we if I do have a booking, I will take the people up to the guest house, and then we do it on the stoop at the braai or somewhere in the garden, and otherwise it's in the office. So yeah, in the office there where we work, and the long-term plan is to kind of do that kind of thing, but we're a bit off beaten track from the other wine farms, so not everyone's going to know you're there, especially if you don't have a tasting room that people can actually Google and go to.
So with the wine tasting process, obviously there's an order a particular blend should be drunk in. There's like a science behind the order, because maybe if you're in the wrong order, you've disrupted your taste buds. Or
so you normally start with your whites. You go in with your whites, and then you try to do like Sauvignon Blanc, and then you do Chenin, depending on if one of them's wooded. So the wooded one you'll do later on. And
explain what wooded means.
So wooded is so red wine goes into an oak barrel, and Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin normally goes into rosé, goes into a stainless steel fermenter container. And if it's wooded, the wine can last longer. So you put a Chardonnay. Chardonnay is normally that's wooded, and then Chenin they wood as well. So they put that in an oak barrel, but a older oak barrel, Normally one, I think, that's been used 4 or 5 times. So that it doesn't give off that much wood, but it gives you that caramel taste to the wine. And it can age longer. So if it's wooded, it's preserved a bit better. If a white wine goes into a stainless steel tank, you kind of want to do that within 2 years to get the wine off the shelves.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that guest house. Obviously, then people can come and stay at the guest house.
Yes. So mainly the guest house was kind of built for the partners from America if they want to come and stay. And then in the meantime, we kind of rent it out for accommodation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those partners in the States, where in the States?
So Dave is in California, and I think Bob as well. Dave comes once or twice a year, comes and visits, and then he's there for about a week, and then the next week or two he kind of goes through Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
California, there's a few wineries there. Hey?
Yeah, so California, Napa Valley is the big thing in California.
Okay, so he obviously knew kind of a bit of wine.
Yeah, so he's more, he's got a lot of businesses, but he's got the wine farm there in Napa Valley. Yeah.
Have you been?
No, not yet. Haven't been invited.
Not yet.
Yeah.
And with, price points and, setting that price point, how has that changed over time? Was your goal always coming into this to be that middle price point, to be a relatively premium, nice wine?
Well, the goal obviously is to get the wine to, a better price point as well. But you can't just increase the price by 20% and then make it an expensive wine, because then people's going to stop buying it. So you kind of incrementally increase it each year, with inflation and everything. And depending on the style of the wine and if it's made a bit different. So like a single vineyard goes into brand new oak barrels, and a oak barrel one costs between 15 and 30,000 rand. So you kind of adjust the price. 225 to 300, depending on it. You can go to 500. You can get 500 barrels, 1,000-liter barrels as well. And then you kind of increase the price on that. And depending on the type of oak, you get more expensive oak, French oak, American oak, and then you get Hungarian oak. So all the prices, and depending on the toasting of the barrels, how much coffee toast notes it gives off. So that all that determines at the end of the day what you're gonna ask for the wine.
You've obviously learned a lot, like even just like minor details about barrels and all of that. Obviously, you had to obviously ensure that your wine is, what you want it to be. But how much, growing up, obviously your dad, working and consulting and stuff. But how much interest did you have at a younger age? None.
So no, I was microbiology, biology, lab rat kind of geek all the way. I loved the farm, never had any interest in actually farming. When I finished my studies, I worked on the farm for about 6 months, and then I got my first lab job, and then I went and did that. And so then I did the wine analysis. So the seller would send the wine, and you would test the wine, and then you would say, okay, now it's fine for bottling. You can bottle, you can go, or you need to make some changes to the wine. And then,
what would those changes be? Would that be like longevity? Obviously, it's not really taste.
Yeah. So some of the wines, you would make an adjustment to the pH, or the sugar is too high, and then you would add stuff for that. And then you also would have filter time on the wine as well. So through bottling, if there's too much sediment still in the wine, they need to clarify it. They need to clear it up, and you add stuff into that. It's the same stuff you add to beer when you do beer, clarify the beer, and it kind of causes the enzymes and the dead yeast cells to fall down the bottom of the tank, and then you filter that through again. But if it's not totally clear, then it kind of causes problems with filtration during bottling, and then it'll stop bottling. And then you need to change filters, stuff like that.
And you get bottles with corks, you get ones with screw tops. Why do some have a cork? Why do some?
So you do put the cork in kind of for your more expensive wines, and it is a little bit more better for preserving the wine. But you do get another thing with corkscrews. It can not seal entirely, and then the mold can get in. and with a cork, there's a bacteria that can get onto the cork, and that can cause the wine to go off. So you've got factors with both of them, but the cork kind of makes the wine last a little bit longer.
Okay. Yeah. And do people, in your experience, would they prefer the cork just because it seems like it's more fancy and nicer?
Yes. So the cork thing does also make the wine seem a little bit more fancy, and then the same with a wax seal that also makes a wine look more exclusive and premium.
Okay.
So you kind of do make those changes on the bottle because that's the look, and it adds to the value of the wine as well.
And you mentioned being relatively young but having a lot of more space and a bigger farm than what you sell your wine. Obviously, then you're looking at expanding and producing more than 20,000 a year.
Yes. So the thing is, you can't just do that and expect you're going to sell the wine because the market's up and down, and you need to grow the market a bit more. So we do a little bit more every year, like we grow with new listings and a new export or something like that. You do kind of bring that into your calculation for next year, and so that slowly does grow. But at the end of the day, the long-term thing would be to all the wine goes into our label, and but that takes a bit of time.
Yeah. Your microbiology background and that being relatively pretty much, data driven and, having a lot of information, do you then enjoy implementing that within your role now?
Yeah, I do that. Spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets, anything that I can kind of get a trend on which wine is selling where better, and I can know, okay, this year that went up, so I need to push that wine again. When it did, Pinotage did better in July in KZN, and then with a few other things, if I go to a festival, I'll know this one sold better last year, or this one, like overall this wine sold better, so I need to take this one instead of another one to the festival. You kind of learn from that, and it's nice to see the numbers, rather than going on, okay, I remember that did well or that didn't do well.
So then based off your current trends in sales and then also what you'd like to achieve, where do you want and where does your family want, the business to go?
I think we are planning on doing a little bit more apples as well, because apples are, it's good money and the market's well. But with the vineyards, I think it would be, the goal is to all the wine goes into our grape, under our label. We did do another label as well now, for a little bit, a cheaper label, but for more, I think for the students, and then as well for the Eastern Cape, they drink kind of sweeter wine. We didn't have sweet wine at all, so we did that range just for that market to try and grow there. I think, and then next year we're going to do something else as well, to try and target a different market. You kind of see where the trends go and which wines do better and which wines you kind of want to take out of the range for a while, try something else. And we kind of do that. But our end goal is to, all the grapes go into our wine.
Okay, nice. So your website, is that the only place, or are there other places other than obviously stalls and locations where it's being sold? If people, let's say somewhere in Joburg wants to grab some wine.
No, then it's online. Yeah. Joburg, we are busy with a few places in Joburg at the moment. And but further than that, it's online.
Okay. So that's your website. I'll put that in the description.
Pardon?
I'll put the website in the description. Obviously, then they will, I assume, be able to find the guest house there as well. Yeah.
So it's on booking.com, but the accommodation is on the website as well. And you can, through that, you get a link through to booking.com.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of food and wine pairings as well. And then wine clubs. Wine clubs that usually it's people that come by during a festival, and then they try and organize a wine tasting for their club. We do a lot of that, and then a lot of food and wine pairing stuff.
How does a wine club work? What do people do?
So wine clubs are difficult, because you do get your social drinkers that just want to kind of get the winemaker in, and because normally the tasting stock is free. So we give the tasting stock as long as I can do sales afterwards, and take orders, and then I'll ship them the wine. And you get a lot of social drinkers that just kind of want to drink. And then you get your more serious wine clubs that actually want to get to know a new winery better and get to know the wine and, get something else for their cellar at home. So that kind of gets blurred sometimes. It's a 50-50 how you get it. But it's still a marketing strategy as well.
So then these wine clubs, is it, do you send people the wine if it's, some tannies in Cape Town?
No. So I'll drive through.
Okay.
And then if I have a wine tasting, in KZN or here, I normally plan the trip around 2 or 3 days to kind of do trade as well and see a few other clients. And then the wine tasting is usually in the evenings.
So with this wine tasting, would people who are obviously in these clubs then just reach out to you and be like, we want to,
yes,
this week we want your guys' wine to be there?
Yeah. So normally they do that. It's not that much because, like I said, I don't just do something like that. I like to know it's like it's a serious wine club.
Yeah.
And then, I normally drive through and then I'll do the tasting for them. And then food and wine pairings, I enjoy that a bit more. People tend to listen to you a bit more while they're having food. If it's paired with food, the wine is better than just drinking the wine.
Yeah.
So that's always nice. You kind of send the chef your tasting notes and they make the food according to your wines.
And at a wine expo, can you have a wine tasting experience, or is it more maybe just like samples that are at your?
No, you do. So depending on the expo, some of them, if they don't have a liquor license or something like that, you can't sell, but you can pour. So they can taste and they can order from you and you can ship it to them. But normally those things work. They get a glass for entry. They pay for the weekend 300 Rand or 500 Rand for the ticket. They get a glass and then they can go through all the wine farms and taste whatever they like.
And are there any expo type things coming up that you guys are going to be at?
So the next one is end of the month. It's in Greyton, the Fire and Wine Festival, end of July. And then after that, we've got one on a hunting game farm, country in the Karoo. But I think we're the only wine cellar there. So I think we're not going to we're going to sell. We're not going to do tastings there. And then, this past year, we had quite a few. So we're in Grofrenet, the stoop tasting. That's quite a big one. They've got two weekends. We did both weekends. And then Greyton has another one in November. I think it's the first weekend of November. We're doing that one as well. And then Happy Hippo in PE, Jeffreys Bay. That's also a big one. Not big, not many wineries, but it's a lot of people. So.
Would you say, from the business aspect, those kind of things generate the best sales, or do you see more sales from you going out?
Well, that depends on month to month. In the months that June, July, during school holidays, so the trade does tend to be a bit less than those festivals.
So moms are less stressed during holidays, so they drink less wine.
Well, so the people, what I've seen is the trade does a little bit not as well during those months. Certain places do, where people go for holidays. So where there's a wine shop, that wine shop will do a lot better. And but the wine festivals kind of make up for the months that were, less.
In sales. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the marketing thing is also a big thing with the festivals. Most of the new listings come from there. So it's wine clubs or it's restaurants that go and taste wine and then to try and get something new in their store. So a lot of listings come from that as well. And a lot of food and wine pairings come from that. Normally the people looking for someone to do that, and and that kind of generates more sales afterwards as well, because it's the
then they
new
come
wine
back
club,
again.
new clients. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I look forward to seeing the growth of the company.
Thank you.
And hopefully trying out your wine. I won't be able to tell you if it's good wine or not, but wine is wine.
Yeah, wine is wine.
For me personally. Yeah. But I mean, my dad, I would say maybe like a glass a night type of thing. So he does enjoy his wine, but I haven't picked up anything from him,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
so yeah, I think I started drinking wine in my third year in uni. Really drinking, actually, not drinking wine, and not only drinking Four Cousins and Sweet Rosé and Popsock.
Crackling.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's kind of a learning curve. You kind of need to find what you like and then build up on that. Yeah.
So as a beginner, what is the best type of wine maybe then to start with? As someone that's,
Red or white?
let's say red. Let's stick
Grenache.
with red.
Do Grenache, Pinot Noir, and then from there you can.
Why would that be a nice wine for
So
someone
it's lighter. It's not too heavy, and it's a very fruity wine. The Cinsault as well. Cinsault is very close to Grenache, a little bit lighter than that, but you won't actually feel like you're drinking wine. It's wine, but it's very light. It's very light-bodied, easy style. Yeah, so it's easy drinking wine.
Okay, nice. I'll try that this week.
Rather than a Cabernet. If you don't drink a Cabernet, then yeah, Grenache is going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I find after my first glass of wine, it doesn't matter anymore. If it's like a really strong wine.
Yeah.
After on my second glass, then I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine now.
Yeah, and you kind of just drink the second glass.
Yeah.
So.
My taste buds just adapt.
Yeah, they do. And especially if you drink you drink a few wines during the evening, it kind of, you kind of lose your taste buds as well. So.
As your inhibitions drop,
yes,
the taste buds drop.
Wine is wine after that. If you're drinking a Pinot Noir or something else, it tastes the same. It's the same.
As long as you're not mixing in tequila or something with it, then it's fine. Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me. I appreciate it. Of course. And thanks, guys, for watching. Cheers.